something interesting is sure to happen. Well, I think you ought to tell me who you are first. Mr. Rabbit? Then why did you ask the question?
Goodness, this is quite extraordinary.
Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?
But today is turning into the most curious adventure I have ever had.
Welcome to the Alice in Wonderland podcast. So this is a place for you to open your mind and let your sense of wonder, imagination, and curiosity loose. I'm your host, Georgia Ellis, and today I'm joined by the amazing Sarah Reyna. And Sarah is a world traveler, an online marketer, online marketing consultant, and she's also the host of the upcoming Digital Nomad Girl podcast. I'm looking forward to that coming out. So let's all get curious with Sarah. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So Sarah, you're coming in from Cambodia. You're dialing in from Cambodia today. What's it like over there?
Oh, yes, I am. I'm in Siem Reap. What is it like here? It's really beautiful, but there's different aspects of it. I've been recently thinking about how it's a little heartbreaking, but how it also restores your heart at the same time with just meeting the wonderful people here and the giant smiles every single day and just reflecting on the simplicities and the meaningful things in life. But it's beautiful. It's good weather. It was raining this morning, and yesterday I went to some waterfalls, and there's lots of ancient temples. So there's a lot of rich history and beautiful culture and good food.
Awesome. What a great place to be coming in from, because I'm here in Melbourne and we've just come into, been in spring for about a month. We had a beautiful day yesterday and today it's turned to cold and rainy. So that's just the weather here in Melbourne. But we're not here to talk about weather. We're here to talk about you and have a conversation about your personal journey. And there's a question I ask a majority or nearly all of my guests. I'm going to ask you this question, and you have not been preempted with this, so we'll see how you go with answering it. So my podcast is called Alice in Wonderland, and the story about Alice in Wonderland is about a young girl traveling through this wonderful place of imagination and curiosity. So if I was a 7-year-old girl right now, and I asked you to explain to me what it is that you do, what would you say to me? How would you explain what you do to a 7-year-old?
Ooh, I have no idea. Let's see. I would say that I travel the world and I inspire others to live their best lives using the power of the internet.
I love that. How cool is that? And as a 7-year-old, I'd get what that means. So I'm sure our listeners are going to be varied in ages from 7 years old right up to, I don't know how our oldest is at this stage, but that doesn't matter. So talk to us a little bit about what it is you'll be doing. So what brings you to Cambodia? Are you there for work or is it pleasure?
It's a little bit of both. So one reason why I decided to live the location freedom life is because I enjoy nothing more than traveling and being able to make money no matter where I am, instead of just what I did for years was worked at a job for a while that I didn't completely love, saved up a bunch of money, and then I would quit and then go travel for months and months. And that's not really sustainable. So, yeah, I forgot the original question.
That's all right. So it sounds like, that's okay. So it sounds like you've combined your love of travel with being able to work, which I see that as a little bit of, I'm not going to say a trend, but it seems to be something that a lot of people now want to do, is to leave that, I guess, the chains of the 9 to 5 and be able to have a little bit more sense of freedom. So you now monetize what you do. So you earn money while you're traveling. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And also, yeah, it is kind of a trend at the moment, but it's because I feel like so much is happening in the online world, and so much is shifting in society as well, from you know, the ideal, the typical American dream of working hard, staying at a certain company for years and years, in which the company will support you, you'll have a good retirement, you buy a house. Most of that has gone out the window. So I feel like it's becoming a trend because people are finding that they don't need to live that linear life in which society has dictated so many people need to adhere to for so many years. And with the power of the internet and the connection of social media and advertising and marketing, I find that more and more people are just realizing that they can honestly do what is important and meaningful to them and share it with others. Or even if it's just traveling, many people are finding that with this little square digital box here, they can connect to the world and still work. You don't have to sit at a desk in an office in one location. You can sit at your computer anywhere in the world. So it is a trend right now, and I'm excited for it because it means change, and because it's a whole new shift, a whole new paradigm for our generation.
Yeah. And let's hope that's not a trend. It actually becomes the norm, because I look at people that are doing what you're doing, and there's a whole different, I think, category of stress, as in there's a little bit of stress, but it's not the stress of working for somebody else and having to get to a job that you don't really enjoy to pay the bills, to pay for a house that you actually don't spend any time in, because you're spending all your time in a job, and it sort of doesn't make sense. Whereas what you're doing is I'm traveling the world, I'm making money to meet my needs, and I'm experiencing the joy and the love of life.
Exactly. And it's funny that you say that you know, that hopefully society and that corporate world or something like that will catch on to this, because I've seen in the past few years, I mean, I've really only been doing this. I've been doing digital marketing for 6 years, but I've been doing the working remote for the past about year and a half only. So within that year and a half, I have seen how society is opening up to that idea, because you know, there'll be times where I'll search for certain jobs here and there, or there will be times where I'll receive certain emails, and I am just shocked at just how much companies, businesses, and corporations are actually supporting that idea. I'll get messages about these jobs that will, you know, you'll be working for wonderful companies, great companies who are offering you benefits, but you don't even have to come into the office. You can work remotely. And that to me is just mind blowing. And I just feel so supported in the choice that I've made. And I hope other people start to see that as well, that they will be supported if they do decide to make that kind of life change.
Yeah. So what are you doing day to day, as in for your work, let's call it work, and how are you going about getting your clients?
Sure. So day to day, it varies. One thing, well, it definitely varies. I've got I can build people's websites. I can help them with social media, with creating engaging content, digital marketing strategy, list building. But one of my favorite things is creating online learning programs for others. So for me, it's one of my favorite things, because I'm basically getting to learn someone's life work and put it into comprehensive bite-sized pieces and offer it to people in digital format all around the world. So that's one of my favorite things, because I feel like I'm essentially getting paid to learn, which is my favorite thing. And yeah, so just kind of varies, just all different types of digital marketing. I've even started helping people create their video content, because nowadays video content is king. So when I am back in Los Angeles, I have a team of wonderful camera guys and producers and all that who can make wonderful video content for my clients as well. So in terms of what a typical day looks like, it definitely depends on the day, because I do have the capability to work at any time that I want. So for example, this morning I woke up, and where I'm staying at this hotel, we have free breakfast included with the price. So I go down to the restaurant, I sit and I have breakfast and coffee, and I work for a few hours. If I'm not doing that there, then Kat and I will go to a cafe. We've been traveling together for the past, I'd say, almost 2 months. So a lot of the days we'll go to a cafe and we'll sit there for hours and work there. And yeah, but some days, like yesterday, I went to the waterfall and I didn't have to work. And then today I did couple hours. Well, not a couple. I probably did like 4 or 5 hours. So it varies.
Yeah. And there's a nice variety in that as well. You're really embracing life and travel in what you're doing. So the second part of my question was, how do people get hold of you? How do they know, how are you getting your clients is basically the question, because I know there's people out there who probably thinking, I'd love to do this, but how do I get my clients? And do your clients have an issue or a challenge with the fact that you are traveling and constantly, potentially, someone might have you doing something, go, I need to get hold of you, but I can't because you're off looking at waterfalls today. So how do you get your clients is one part of the question. The other part of the question is, how do you maintain that I guess that work ethic with the clients that you have?
Awesome. So in terms of how I get clients, it took me a while to figure that out, actually. And now it's been a nice steady balance of 50-50. So the first half is I've applied to a lot of websites online where businesses are specifically looking for someone to do online work. So say, for example, you have someone who's starting a business and they need a website. They can go onto these websites and search for, website builder or somebody to help me with digital marketing, digital strategy, social media, build my list, something like this. So people are searching for these jobs online, and when they search, I will pop up on those platforms. The second half is word of mouth. So what's been really awesome is now that I've started doing this, I have been just hearing from so many friends of friends, family, friends of family, and people who will just, oh, you need a new website, or, oh, you need help with social media, and they'll give them my information and then they'll contact me. And that's been amazing because like I said, I love helping people get their message out there. And it's like nothing is cooler than helping someone who is your friend or acquaintance or a friend of the family help get their message out there. So it's been about 50-50. Oh, also because so I'm pretty active on Instagram, and I like building a community there. And a lot of people who find me will end up asking me for help as well. So I've also been able to start finding clients on there, which is really cool, which again is the power of digital marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of if clients are fine with it, they're totally fine with it. No one has given me any issues. I haven't, I think because the work that I do is, let's see, how do I put this? I'm not running their day-to-day tasks, so they don't really need to contact me that fast. And if they do, I'm not that far. I mean, in terms of, I'll wake up and I'll open my emails and I may be a few hours behind, but I haven't encountered a huge rush or a huge need for someone to contact me so fast. As a matter of fact, it's really funny because I have a lot of clients that are very hands-off. I mean, I will literally not even hear from them for a whole week, and I'll just be doing lots of work and then sending them all the work, and then one day they'll get back to me with all of their replies to the emails. And also I produce results. I'm a hard worker and I'm a fast worker. And if you tell me to have something done, I will have it all done, and then I'll send you a full product. So that's helpful as well. I don't sit there and, needing to ask 1,000 questions and waiting to hear back about the tiniest replies. It's like, I just create and then I get notes.
Yeah. Yeah. Really good. While you were talking, I want to rewind a little bit, and I'm imagining you, the person you are now and what you're doing now. So you're got a sense of freedom, you're working, you're supporting yourself financially. We rewind back to before you started being a digital nomad. I can just imagine you sitting in an office 9 to 5. What was the defining moment that made you think, I don't want to do this. I want I know there's something better. What was the thought process? Now, the reason I'm asking this is because I see so many people, because of the work that I'm in. I do work in corporations. So I do training, mindset training and mindfulness training in corporations. And I see a lot of people starting their side hustles or dreaming and fantasizing about what you're doing. So what was that defining moment, and what made you take that big leap of faith?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's actually funny because when I started the desk job, it was actually out of need. I had been traveling for a few months in Southeast Asia, and when I got back, I got in a car accident, and because of that car accident, I wasn't able to go back to the job that I had before because it was very physical. So I had 2 jobs before. I had a e-commerce website. Actually, sorry, I had a lot of jobs before, but I had an e-commerce website, and then I actually had a job working in medical marijuana, and then actually those were the jobs. And then with the e-commerce website, I was doing my own digital marketing. So when I got back from that trip, I got in a car accident, and because of the car accident, essentially, when I tried going back to work in medical marijuana, which I had been doing for years and years, and it definitely supported me financially, I couldn't do it. I couldn't physically do it. So that was a huge blow to my, I guess you could say, career in that field. And at that time, I had also known that I wanted to make a change. I wanted to maneuver out of that field and really truly find what something that spoke to me. So when I got that desk job, it was because I literally needed a desk job. I needed to sit at a desk. And because I had my own online e-commerce website, I had already gained digital marketing skills. So when I found that desk job, it was in digital marketing. So I was working for the stylist that I was telling you a little bit about, and she's a stylist in Los Angeles. And I was doing all of her digital marketing, her newsletters, I was building her online learning program, her membership websites, just everything in terms of digital content. And what it was I started taking these online courses to further my skills in digital marketing, because I was very serious about this job and I wanted to be as good as I possibly could be in it. So I started taking these courses, and she actually had a course for me as well, in terms of how to build webinars. So I was helping her with that. And what happened was I built her a membership website. I built her her online learning program, and I did everything from creating the emails, to inviting everyone onto these webinars to sell the product in which I had made. And in the 2 days that we held the webinars, she made $30,000. And I realized that that's a pretty good, income to make on something that I had created for her. So that was kind of ping number one, was I totally have the capability and skill set to do this myself. The second thing was just how I felt every single day. It was definitely a type of job where, and also I live in Los Angeles. That's home base. So it was that type of job where I wake up in the morning, I rush to work. It takes, well, for me, I'm annoyed at how long it takes to get ready in the morning to go to work every day, sitting through traffic, trying to make something to eat, or picking something up on the way, getting there, and then just being in a flurry and in a rush, and just I just felt like a robot every single day. And then I would get back in my car and I would drive through traffic back home, and then I would be exhausted by the time I got home. And I started gaining lots of weight. I started being just completely I just didn't feel like myself. I felt like I had lost touch of everything that I truly enjoyed. And I basically didn't have time for it. We held a lot of events, so I'd be working on weekends and at nights. So it was that feeling, and at the same time, so I was ping number two, just feeling horrible, absolutely horrible, gaining weight. And ping number three was actually podcasts that I was listening to. So I was listening to the Lewis Howes podcast, and it was just amazing to hear. His whole thing is turning your passions into profits. And it was amazing to hear his story, how he did that. And I had taken one of his online courses. So he's obviously, giving the skills and the skill set that he has and that he's used and that has worked for him. And he would just interview lots of people who were doing that, who were doing that as well. And it was just all very inspiring. So I think that's what it was. And then what happened was, after I had been working there for only a year, a job opportunity came through, and it was actually a huge job opportunity for someone who needed to launch their web series. Actually, he's a pretty famous hip hop mogul. His name's Damon Dash, and I helped launch their series. So by getting that job and signing that contract, I was able to leave the job I was at. So it was kind of a lot of things, and definitely receiving that job, working for Damon Dash was my way of transitioning out of that 9-to-5 and more having my first contract, in essence. So it's kind of,
it's really good to hear you talk about that, feeling like you were a robot. So I had a very similar experience. I can remember one day I would catch the train into work, and the train trip would be around about from door to door, it was about an hour and 20 minutes of commute. Right, to get to work. And I can remember walking towards this big building that I would work in. I was walking down this main street in the city, and I looked around me, and there's all these people just walking with me, like all together, like little little worker ants going off. And then at the end, and I sort of looked around and I went, I don't want this. I don't think as a human being I've been created to be this, like a robot, like that little worker ant. I think there's more to life. And a very similar things to you is really understanding this. Well, hang on a minute. What am I really passionate about? What do I enjoy doing? And how can I monetize that? And I know there'll be people listening to your conversation going, oh, wow, you can do this. And they'll be thinking to themselves, Yeah, I'm sitting at a desk here. I'm putting on weight. I'm in that flurry. I've got all these things I don't like doing, yet I've got this little dream and passion to do something else. And your story is really inspiring for people to go, well, hang on, what can I do? And one of the things I say to people, because I also coach people, is that the world we live in today is ripe for entrepreneurship and business building and making an income. There is not a better time in this world right now than to be able to make an income outside of working for an organization, if you choose. Some people want to work in an organization, which is great. But I think this time in where we are, with what you're teaching, leveraging from social media, the digital world, people can live a lifestyle what you're doing. Absolutely. And you're a trailblazer showing them how that can be done, which is awesome. So we spoke a little bit earlier before we started the interview, and there's some other areas in your life that you're really passionate about as well. I'd love to hear a little bit about that so people get the whole picture of who Sarah is. So Sarah, the digital nomad, but there's also another side to you as well, or another part of you. I shouldn't say side. There's another part of you that is into some sort of what will, for me, these are normal, but for some people, they might find them a little alternative. So what else are you passionate about? What else have you got? Where else do your interests lie?
Definitely. So yeah, we were speaking earlier just about how really working with, using, and in the future wanting to teach just the power of the mind and the mind-body connection, and tapping into source, energy. So I do Reiki, and I have been doing it for, I was certified about 3 years ago. So I've been doing it for myself and dabbling here and there. And I've done it at some events, but it's been hasn't been a full-blown career. It's just been something I've been playing with. And then I mentioned earlier that, yes, I've been doing it for 3 years, but I feel like I've been doing it all my life. And that's what I'm doing. I really love Reiki and that connection to being able to feel energy in a way, and helping people move their energy, balance chakras, things like this. So if people don't know, Reiki is they call it a hands-off, but you do kind of incorporate your hands sometimes. It depends on your style. But it's a hands-off kind of healing modality, a healing technique in which I am acting as a channel to channel that, positive, vibrant, beautiful life force, chi energy through my body and into someone else's body. And that intelligent energy will do what it needs to do in your body to clear out any I don't want to say just like low vibrational energy, to clear out any low vibrational energy in your body. And so I love doing that. And on top of that, I recently got accepted to a mindfulness meditation teacher certification program through UC Berkeley. So I will be doing that starting February. And that for me, I studied at university. I studied cognitive psychology, which is, how the brain works. And I really wanted to go on to do like cognitive research. So research the brain essentially and how it works. And that incorporates, how we learn, how we process thoughts, memory, emotions, neurology, chemicals, things like that. So that's always been an interest and a passion of mine. So I feel like I'm finally taking that, and I will be able to help people using that past knowledge and those modalities with mindfulness meditation. And with that, having that piece of paper will get me into places to be able to share this. And I want to really incorporate visualization and breath work and a little bit of Reiki if I can, to help hold space and move energy. So it's kind of just taking a bunch of things that I love and hopefully teaching it and doing I don't know, my goal is to do, retreats and workshops around the world with this, or to even just go into schools and corporations and prisons or anywhere where people really need it, and help people learn the power of their mind and their thoughts.
What an incredible gift to be giving to the people in those institutions that you spoke about, whether it be school, prisons, and so forth. I've got a question for you, because you've got a really diverse set of interests. So you've got the digital world where you're running a business, and then you've got this interest in the energetic spiritual world. How important do you see or perceive the crossover of really understanding yourself at that mind, body, spirit level when you are creating a business like what you're doing? How important is that, and how do you incorporate that into what you do?
Oh, well, for starting a business, I mean, I think it's just good to know yourself, especially if you're starting a business. It's like, what's actually going to make you happy? What is actually going to fulfill you? Because if you're just starting to if you're starting a business to make money and you think that that's going to make you happy, it's not. That's the reality of the situation. So I think just knowing yourself and having a connection with yourself to be able to understand what you want to put out into the world and what you want to spend your hours every single day doing.
Yeah, because our time is really precious, isn't it? We've got to understand that we're all mortal beings, and we don't know how long we're here for. So why wouldn't you embrace what it is you love and what's important to you? And also, I think from what you're doing, teaching the Reiki and moving into mindfulness and visualization, understanding the power of the brain and the mind and our energy together is really important for anybody who's taking any sort of leap of faith. You've got to understand these tools that you've been given as a human being and how you can utilize them to get I'm going to say the success or whatever it is that you're wanting to do. One of the things I loved that you said there is that, if you're starting a business or wanting to start a side hustle or do something purely for the money, it's probably not the right reason. It's about following your heart and your passion, right?
Right. Exactly. I mean, there's lots of things you could do to make money, but is it going to light you up? Is that how you want to spend your days? That's basically how I look at it.
I love that. Is that going to light you up? And that's the thing, because we see so many people who are bought into what society thinks they should have and be and do, and it's not lighting them up. They're not walking around, these people, on inspired and on purpose. Now, I'm not saying you have to be, this joyful person 100% of the time, but it does help to be doing what you love. And I think some of the things that you've mentioned here about being really, really clear that you wanted something else and finding the solutions for it as well, and being very aware of the tools that you had at your disposal to be able to do what you're doing now, which is, in the world we live in, as we mentioned earlier, having access to that digital world. So if people want to reach out to you and get some advice from you, would like to work with you, would like to follow you, how do they find Sarah? Where can they go to find you?
So my website, sarareyna.com, is where you can learn a little more about the digital marketing that I can do for you to help you, or if you just want to ask me some questions through email, there's my email is there. There's a form on there where you can contact me. So that's sarareyna.com, SARAHREYNA. And then I'm mostly active on Instagram. So there you will see, everything from the traveling that I do to the new websites or programs I'm building, to my thoughts and meditations and mantras. So that's Instagram so it's Sarah Reyna with 3 R's, SARAHRRREYNA.
I'll put links in all the platforms as well, so people can find you that way. But for those that are out there, they might want to be listening on their phone and want to type it in right now, and look you up. Now, I think you also have a free download as well. Is that correct, for people that want to to talk to us a little bit about what that download is, for those that potentially want to start their own thing and need to get some insights into the digital world?
Yes, definitely. Thank you. So I've created a top 10 sheet because a question I get a lot of the time is, how can I make money online? So I made a document and a blog, but I put it in document form, called Top 10 Ways to Make Money Online. And, again, I'll give you the link for that, but basically it's just letting people know how you can even do that, from offering the services online, let's say anything from digital marketing to accounting to teaching English to people all over the world, to selling e-products or selling membership websites. Let's say if you have lots of videos about, mindset or meditation, or even making smoothies, you can turn that into a membership website or a learning program. So there's just so many different ways. So I've outlined that in that article, Top 10 Ways.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. And I'm encouraging people that are listening that if you're on your commute into work now, or on your way home, and you're thinking, I really don't like what I'm doing, I'd love to do what Sarah's doing, how can I monetize it, to get that download and have a read of it. Because I know from my own experience as well that you can actually make that change, you can make that move, and you can create an income for yourself. And as I said earlier, the world we live in now is ripe for everybody to actually start monetizing their passions. And so make sure, if you're on the fence and not quite sure, get the download and find out some tips. Get in contact with Sarah. She's done it. She's living it right now. So find people, and this is something that I want everyone to be really mindful of, is if you're going to make a move or make a leap of faith, find people who have done it before you and learn from them. So we learn, there's two ways we learn. We learn through surprises and mistakes. And the best types of mistakes to learn from is other people's mistakes. So Sarah's a trailblazer. She's gone before you. She's got these top 10 ways that you can make money online. So go and learn from her. Go and grab that information. So Sarah, thank you so much for taking time out from all the way over in Cambodia. And I wish you every success as you start your study next year in February. And I look forward to following you and seeing what unfolds from that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun.
Today is turning into the most curious adventure I've ever had.